Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Yap session. Today I kind of want to talk about Yuji and his two brothers of the story that are his most dedicated allies by far. We have on one hand his best friend Toto, and on the other Choso, who is a brother by blood. And I want to talk about these two because they're two characters that could just never meet. And as much as we wanted them to, we kind of have some spoilers from chapter 259, and this is your chance to turn away if you have not read up to that because we'll be discussing some things that happen in 259. Toto appears fairly early in the story and is established as somewhat of an antagonist. He appears and begins berating those around him for having different opinions, and most famously Megami for having a different taste in women, which is just a Chad moment. He's physically dominant and goes after those who he thinks are weak. Toto is immediately enamored with Yuji because of his strength and his similar taste in women. Toto is extremely impressed with Yuji because of his adaptiveness in battle. He's always adapting to things and he's an excellent fighter. And Toto, being one of the most powerful students of Jiu-Jitsu, rarely has a challenge like he was with Yuji. He was extremely challenged with Yuji, and his fight really opened his eyes that Yuji's an extremely strong fighter. And this was just the start of a beautiful brotherhood between the two. Toto's curse technique, Boogie Woogie, is an absolute perfect pair for Yuji and his fighting style. The first time this technique is used is against Hanami, and the first time Yuji and Toto actually fight in tandem, they have such great chemistry and they're able to go toe-to-toe with a special grade curse, which is unheard of, especially for Yuji since he is so new to the Jiu-Jitsu high. But Toto, I guess, is a grade 1, so he has a little more prowess. But on top of this, Yuji's first fight with Toto is where he begins to use the Black Flash, which, of course, if you've read the manga and you're caught up, you know how important that is to the story. And Yuji able to enter this flow state seemingly way easier when Toto is around. We see this, of course, against Hanami, but also against Mahito and Shibuya, where Mahito had absolutely crushed Yuji's spirit. He killed Nanami, potentially Nobara, and Toto is the one person who comes in and lifts Yuji up and reinvigorates him. We don't really have a character like this other than Toto who can show up and just hype up Yuji and the reader so much. He's kind of used just as this plug-in when Yuji's at his lowest moment, and we see that again in the most recent chapter with Choso. You know, he sacrifices himself, and Yuji is probably feeling the lowest he has felt in many chapters. And of course, Toto is there to reinvigorate his spirit. And hopefully, even though Yuji was using Black Flashes against Sukuna before Toto shows up, hopefully he can start landing some more because they're going to need him. Toto realizes he can't fall behind his brother in these instances. We see this again in Shibuya, where Mahito and Yuji use Black Flash, and Toto feels like he's being left behind. So he wills his way into a Black Flash, and it's one of the best moments in Season 2. And yeah, their fighting style, again, it's great to see that they can swap because they both land such heavy hits, and it's just a perfect pairing for the two, and no wonder they get along so well. Unfortunately, in Chapter 132, Toto had to cut his arm off when Mahito opened his domain expansion, although after being gone for over 100 chapters, he has returned in 259, and hopefully we think his ability is alive, and yeah, he's back. Yuji's first real fight in Shibuya was versus the blood manipulation expert and cursed womb Choso. He was a member of Kenjaku's group and helped in the sealing of Gojo that began the entire Shibuya incident. Choso held a deep-seated hatred for Yuji after he killed his younger brothers. The fight they have in the subway system is possibly the most brutal hand-to-hand combat we've seen in the manga. Choso's blood manipulation proved to be quite the challenge for Yuji, and he was forced to eliminate this advantage by using sprinklers in the bathroom to dilute the abilities of the blood manipulation. Despite being extremely strong and skilled with hand-to-hand combat, Choso is still able to defeat Yuji and nearly end his life. Both Toto and Choso experience false memories about Yuji. First, Toto has a memory about calling Yuji his best friend back in school, and then Choso experiences a very similar vision right before ending Yuji's life. In Choso's case, he is literally blood related to Yuji, and is shown by Choso being able to sense his younger brother's deaths after Nobara and Yuji killed them in the first season of the anime. This could possibly explain why Choso had the vision. However, why did Toto experience this false memory? People have attributed this phenomenon to a hidden technique of Yuji. I would not be surprised if this is the case. It does seem like whenever Yuji is in imminent danger or death, some sort of connection can be made with another person to create a bond. Both Toto and Choso are the epitome of what you would call a good brother. Once Choso realized he was brothers with Yuji, he immediately turned against Kenjaku and began defending Yuji. He literally threw away everything he knew to defend his younger brother. He was right by his side post Shibuya and did all he could to protect his younger brother. Even Todo cared so deeply about Yuji, he carried a picture of him in his necklace, and we all know what happened once that broke in the anime. And interaction between Yuji's brothers was something that I was personally really looking forward to, although I kind of had a feeling that we would never see it. Since they both cared so deeply about Yuji, I suspect that they would have gotten along very well, and it would have been really interesting to see Choso and Todo work together. Maybe Boogie Woogie with an experienced blood manipulation user would have been quite the deadly combo, I think. Imagine Todo switching Choso and like mid supernova or something. Like, it would just be so awesome, and it's so unfortunate we never got to see that. We know that Todo has an understanding of blood manipulation, probably because of Kamo at his school. And yeah, he would have a great understanding of how Choso can use his ability. And I think the two would have not only gotten along well, but of course worked together amazingly. Unfortunately, Gege hates his fans and did not allow this interaction to ever occur. Of course, that's a joke, and I do think that Choso's send-off was absolutely incredible, especially compared to a lot of the other major characters that we've lost recently in the manga. But it's just seconds after Choso's death, Todo appears into the story, and Todo's notorious for this, kind of like what we've talked about. You know, a big character dies and Yuji's at his lowest moment, and boom, Todo's here. And it happened again, but I really wanted to see these two interact in some way. It didn't have to be anything major, but just meeting once would have been amazing. But that being said, Choso died doing exactly what he wanted to do, save his brother. Surviving Sukuna's flame attack is almost an impossible feat, it seemed, but Choso had no choice but to do everything in his power to save Yuji. He died a hero, and now Todo has arrived to support Yuji in his lowest moment. Although Todo and Choso never met each other, they both played their roles perfectly and were there to connect in helping Yuji exactly when he needed it. So, rest in peace to the best brother Choso, and I really hope Todo gives him hell. But yeah, that will kind of wrap it up for today. I just kind of want to talk about these two characters and why they're so important to the story, and how it really does suck that we never got to see them work together or interact. And I don't think Choso's coming back, so I don't think it's going to happen. I don't want to give anyone any hope. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this, let me know. And stay tuned for another video next week. I don't know what I'm cooking yet, but there will be something. So thank you guys for watching.